Hey, my name is Caitlin Cannon, and I'm a student at Spartanburg Community College. And we got assigned to read The Iguana Tree in my class by Michelle Stone. So first, I want to give you a little background information about Michelle Stone. Part of the coast of South Carolina, and she now lives in Spartanburg. Michelle Stone is a 2011 recipient of the South Carolina Fictional Project Award given by South Carolina Arts Commission. She graduated from Clemson University and Converse College, and she is also an alumni of the Swain Rights Conference. She was raised on Johns Island on the South Carolina coast, and she now lives in Spartanburg. And The Iguana Tree is her very first novel that she has written. Well, now that you know a little bit about Michelle Stone and about the book, I just want to tell you about the main characters in the story. So the first main character I want to talk about is Hector. Hector is married to Lilia, and they have a newborn baby. Her name is Andrea, and they live in Mexico. And Hector wants to try to find a better place for his family in America. So in the beginning of the book, he starts out and he's at this coyote. So he goes and he tries to get his family to America. But what he doesn't know is that sacrifices that come along with that, what he's going to face in the future. And that's when his wife, Lilia, comes in. Now, Lilia is the wife of Hector. She's the mother of Andrea. She's also the granddaughter of Curtia. Her mother is not really talked about in the story because her mother died whenever she was a little girl. She died at birth. The little description about Lilia so you can have her in your mind. She's got long black hair. She's real tan. She's skinny. And she's hard-headed. She's very stubborn. Now, the problem that Lily is facing is that she tries to make everything right in the situation. And with her trying to make everything right in the situation, it's going to end up causing problems between her and Hector. Instead of just waiting things out with Hector, she tries to jump the gun and take it in her own hands. And that's going to end up getting her in more trouble than it is helping her. The next main character in the book is Miguel, and Miguel and Hector meet at this coyote's house in the very beginning of the book. And Hector's really nervous when he first goes in this coyote's house, and he don't really know what to expect. And Miguel is really there from the start with Hector. Miguel has always has Hector back from the time they meet until the very end of the book. Another main character would be Lucas and Elizabeth. Lucas and Elizabeth are husband and wife. And Lucas is the owner of the farm. He controls the farm. And Elizabeth is Lucas's wife. Now, Lucas and Elizabeth try anything and everything they can do to help Hector and Lilia. Anything they possibly need, they're going to be there for him. Lucas gives Hector a truck. Elizabeth lets Lilia take speech lessons. They're just very good people, and they do play a very big role in the story. In the beginning of the book, like I said, they're started in this coyote's house. And this is where Hector is going to go get across America with. Him and Miguel become really good friends. As this whole entire thing is going on with Hector and Miguel and them trying to get across the border, Lilia is still staying at home with her grandmother. So Lilia is still staying home with her grandmother, and in Mexico they have these parties to where people, you go out and you celebrate marriages and stuff like that. Well, at this festival, she runs into Emmanuel, and Emmanuel is her old boyfriend. Well, after they leave the party, they come back home, and Lilia finds her grandmother dead on the floor. So now not only she's lost Hector, but now her grandmother's not here to help her anymore. So Emmanuel comes into her life again. Well, now Hector is on his way to America. The story kind of flip-flops, so you have to stay along. Hector's on his way to America in this little truck that has toys in it. So Hector and a bunch of these men are laying underneath this truck where it's hot, where the motors and stuff is. Here's the truck, here's the ground, and there's toys all on top of them, and there's full of men in the truck. They're trying to get across the border too. So back home, Lilia and Emmanuel come up with this good idea that Lilia is going to try and get across the border. Emmanuel's uncle, Carlos, is a coyote also, and Emmanuel told Lilia that he would get her and her daughter across the border for free. There'd be no charge. Well, little did Lilia know that the charge is that he would have sex with her, and he was going to try to do something with her. So Lilia calls Hector and tells her that she is going to try to come to America because Hector had already made his way into America. They already got his new ID, and they're waiting for Miguel's cousin to come and pick Hector up and take them to South Carolina. Well, um, Emmanuel's uncle meets up with Lilia, and they try to get her across the border. And Lilia is all kind of freaked out. She's scared. She don't know who he is. And they get in this car, and Carlos says, it's paid for. You don't got to worry about nothing. What Lilia did not know is that Carlos is going to rape her. So they go down the road, and every night he's raping her. So they finally get to the smuggler's house, who's going to take Andrea and get them across America. They get to the smuggler's house, they drop Andrea off, and off to America they go. Well, back in South Carolina, Hector has got him a job. He's living with Pablo. Mr. Lucas had given Hector a truck and told him that he could pay the truck off, and only if he keeps the truck with brake fluid, because the brakes didn't work in the car. Well, about this time, Lilia has entered into America. She had to swim across the Rio Grande to get into America, and Hector is still working. He's still trying to save up some money, and he don't know that she's into America yet. Well, Lilia gets in this cabin, and she waits on her coyote's name to be called. The coyote's name is called. She gets out and they go to this house. Her and this man alone. The man flips to these IDs, gives her this ID, and tells her she has to cut her long hair and she has to color it. Just her and him in the hotel room. So she has to cut her hair, color it, and then a bunch of these other people come in. Well, after she's got her hair done, she calls Hector, and she tells Hector that she's in America and he needs to come pick her up. Well, she comes back in there, and the coyote in front of her gets a knife and cuts this guy's neck off. Completely kills her right in front of him. And Lilia is responsible for cleaning up the mess. So now Hector and Miguel have come down to South Carolina to try to get Lilia to South Carolina to America so she would be safe. Well, Hector comes and picks Lilia up and doesn't find Andrea with her. And Hector's like, where is she? Where's my baby? And Lilia says she don't know. She's nowhere to be found. They try to call the smuggler over and over again, and they couldn't get in touch with her. Hector beats Lilia up right there at the hotel room. So days go on. They couldn't get in touch with Carlos. They couldn't get in touch with the smuggler. And so Lilia and Hector had to go back to South Carolina. Well, they get back to South Carolina. They call every day. They tell Lucas. They tell Elizabeth what's been going on. They say they can't find their baby. And they call Texas Child Care Services. They're calling Carlos. They're calling in Mexico, seeing if anywhere can be found. And about this time, they found out that Carlos had died in a car wreck on his way back home from Mexico. Well, now Hector is blaming Lilia for Andrea going missing. So they're not talking to each other. They're not saying a word to each other. One day, Miguel asks Hector, could he drive his truck to the local market? Hector says yes, without thinking that Hector didn't put any brake oil in his truck for a while because he'd been so mad at Lilia. So Miguel takes off in the truck, and then about a few minutes later, they heard ambulances going down the road. They walk outside, and Hector sees Mr. Lucas standing right there. And Lucas says, get in the car, and they go to the car, and they go down to this bridge, and they see the truck at the bottom of the bridge where they had crashed, where Hector had been so distracted with Lilia and so mad at her, he forgot to put brake oil in the truck. So now, the police are at the scene, and they're talking to Lucas. The truck is registered in Lucas's name. They ask for Hector's information, Lilia's information, and the police find out that they're not from here and they need to go back. Now, keep in mind, they still have not found Andrea yet. So now, they're having to be shipped back to America. Their baby is nowhere to be found, and they're being on a plane for the first time. And as they're sitting on the plane, Hector says to Lilia, I'm glad I'm with you on this plane flight back home. And their baby is nowhere to be found. And that pretty sums up the iguana tree. Thank you. Bye.